Hello to all our magical listeners. We are Marie and Kate. Together, we love to chat about mindful magic. Mindful magic is intentionally, mindfully traveling through each day, each task, every little mundane thing you need to do with a magical mindset. Let's get magical and start this episode. Welcome back to Mindful Magic. Before we begin tonight's episode, a quick warning. The stories you're about to hear may be disturbing to some listeners.
This episode explores haunted locations, death, and paranormal experiences. It is intended for mature audiences.
And if you're sensitive to themes of violence, tragedy, or spiritual energy, please listen mindfully or just go ahead and skip this one.
We invite you to ground yourself before entering the darker corners of tonight's discussion. Take a deep breath in and release it slowly. As we open this space, we call in light and protection for everyone listening.
Archangel Michael, guardian of truth and strength, surround this recording, our listeners, and our homes in radiant blue light.
Let no fear, darkness, or wandering energy cross this circle. Only truth, curiosity, and respect are welcome here.
May our voices stay guided, may our minds stay open, and may every story we tell return to peace.
We are grounded, protected, and in the light. And so it is.
And so it is. Mindful Magic Podcast. This is the show where we blend supernatural with the social feeds tonight, and we always induce a little magic into the mundane. I'm Marie.
And I'm Kate. It's officially spooky season, and today we're diving into the biggest Halloween and horror trends taking over TikTok, YouTube, and every haunted corner of the internet.
From AI-generated ghost videos and real haunted house challenges to the weirdest costume trends and conspiracy-level backroom sightings, this year the algorithm is serving full-body chills.
Here's some of the rise of the real-time hauntings on TikTok. So first up, one of the biggest viral themes this year is real-time hauntings. Creators are live streaming from supposedly haunted places, letting viewers witness paranormal activity as it happens.
Right. So according to a viral post by a TikTok creep explore creator, purportedly at Haunt Talk Hannah, she did an overnight live stream in an Ohio abandoned mall where viewers claimed a mannequin's head turned. Creepy.
Mm-hmm.
While the video clip is widely shared, I couldn't locate independent verification of the 500,000 live viewers or the creator's full identity.
Some claim it was editing, others say it was the mall's history, but this trend isn't new. It's part of what TikTok calls quote unquote immersive horror. Think of it like found footage for Gen Z.
Exactly. It blurs entertainment and investigation. Audiences feel like ghost hunters themselves, but it also is reigniting debates about ethics and paranormal content. Should creators profit off haunted locations or spiritual unrest?
We're going to explore AI generated horror and digital possessions. This is the next trend, AI horror. People are feeding haunted prompts into image and video generators, and the results are deeply unsettling.
Oh, yes. Hashtags like hashtag AI Dreamcore and hashtag synthetic hauntings have billions of views. Users are making AI versions of themselves possessed or inserting ghosts into their family photos.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Right?
And it's sparking a new online myth, the quote unquote digital possession. The idea that creating too many AI horror versions of yourself somehow opens a spiritual door.
Right. So there are Reddit threads where people admit they created AI avatars or chatbots of loved ones and then got spooked when the digital versions seemed to act differently than expected, like subtle changes in voice tone, unexpected responses, or odd visual glitches. So, while we don't locate a dedicated subreddit solely for renderings that evolve on their own, the phenomenon is creeping into online discussion and feels like kind of a modern techno folklore. While we're just getting used to the idea of AI in our lives, like from now on, we do have to watch it closely to see how it develops in the future. Right,
Yeah,
Kate? It's kind of getting out of hand in some areas.
I agree. And it's like, this is so new. So, like, where are we going to be even next year? Where are our kids going to be, you know? So,
Right.
discernment is key. So, now here's some interesting costume and aesthetic trends: haunted glam and gorecore. We're going to lighten it up a little bit, sort of. Costume trends this year are intense. On social media, you're seeing style blends like high fashion meets haunted house, vintage lace gowns splattered with fake blood, Victorian silhouettes, and 90s horror film inspiration, like that trending picture you see of the woman laying on the bed out with the cord phone and the scream guys behind her. I don't know if you've seen that. Everyone's doing it. Some creators are using terms like gorecore and ghost glam to describe the look.
Right. So it's like think like high fashion meets haunted house, right?
Yeah.
So the vintage lace gowns splattered with fake blood, Victorian silhouettes, and 90s horror film inspo.
And creators are leaning into somatic looks like the quote unquote final girl aesthetic or mixing slasher tropes with red carpet makeup tutorials.
One of the more imaginative costume ideas I've seen floating online is what some creators call an algorithm witch. Think tech accessories and LED lights layered over a witchy silhouette, a kind of manifestation meets machine aesthetic. And again, while we couldn't verify that it's the single biggest viral costume this year, it captures the flavor of how high tech and eerie are merging in the Halloween looks.
So basically, a witch who runs your For You page. I love it. Like, people are so
Right.
creative.
That's right. So another trend, new life for old internet ghosts. The back rooms, the rake, and the siren head are trending again, this time through POV storytelling filters.
But the backrooms, especially, TikTok creators are building elaborate somatic universes using 3D audio and eerie liminal space imagery. There's a woman on TikTok who drew a map of Mall World, and it is so detailed. This includes the ocean and what windows you can see the ocean out of, the bathroom. So if you follow the Mall World on TikTok, you need to check out her map. It's amazing. Her handle is at TILTONICA.
The crossovers between the ARGs, the alternate reality games, and real world exploration videos makes it feel dangerously believable.
Yeah. It's that classic creepy pasta revival energy, but with modern tools. There's a blend of nostalgia and new age fear in the mix. But while preparing for the episode, I was reminded of a trend a few months ago. I just had to mention this. I almost believed it was real. So there's these terrible reviews about this theme park, and I believe it was Florida, and they were so outrageous. I had to go dive into it. I'm like, this can't be real, and I found out it wasn't. It was made. This YouTuber created this trend where all of his followers would create these fake reviews of his theme park. And I'm like, oh, that's a great example. I can't find it anywhere. And this was trending. It was all over my FYP. I can't find it on Reddit, YouTube. It's like it's gone and it didn't happen. It was so if anyone knows about this, please ease my mind and tell me because it was driving me crazy. My husband doesn't remember either.
Oh, wow.
It was really strange.
Yeah, that is strange, especially if you can't locate it. So it got scrubbed apparently.
Yeah, really
So,
well.
yeah, right, right. So, how about now for some haunted houses and sleepover horror challenges?
So let's talk about what people are actually doing this Halloween. The sleepover horror challenge is everywhere.
Yes, where friend groups stay overnight in haunted Airbnbs or historical locations and just document everything.
From the Lizzie Borden house to the Winchester Mystery House, bookings are sold out nationwide.
It's performative bravery mixed with social media spectacle. But hey, if it keeps people learning history while they scare themselves, maybe it's a win for the ghosts too.
Right? So what's next after year's trends, you ask?
Well, thank you for asking. Many industry observers expect horror to become increasingly interactive. For example, horror podcasts experimenting with immersive sound design, AR filters that let you haunt your own space, or live stream interactive scares via the social apps. While we don't yet have full consensus data on a mass shift, the pieces are clearly moving in that direction.
That is crazy. So basically, the haunted house follows you home. And as long as creators keep finding new ways to blur reality and fiction, the internet will stay haunted long after Halloween ends.
Right. So stay spooky, stay skeptical, and remember every viral haunting starts with a click. Oh, wait. Sorry, Jim Harold. Stay spooky is his line. So here's a shout out. Please follow Jim Harold's paranormal podcast and campfire for lots of real ghost stories. And as he says, stay spooky.
And speaking of real ghost stories, we promised to go deeper into real haunted places. So dim your lights, light your candles, and here we go.
Yes. So let's talk RMS Queen Mary. She's docked in Long Beach, California. In 1936, she was an ocean liner. Then she was a troop ship in World War II and then retired to Long Beach in 1967. She's now a hotel and tours dedicated like with haunted encounters. You can stay overnight. The staterooms run about $150 to $200 per night. They still hold events like very cool murder mystery dinners and live music, and each Halloween they have this dark harbor, they call it, where they transform the ship and the surrounding harbor into a massive like live music fun event. So check it out. You can go to the Queen Mary website for all of that. And so here we go, Kate. According to many guests and visitors on the Queen Mary, the tragedy of crewman John Petter, said to have been crushed by the watertight door number 13 during a 1966 safety drill, gave rise to one of the ship's most persistent hauntings. Guests report seeing a figure in work overalls in the engine room corridor. That place is often called Shaft Alley, hearing a metallic echo of a closing door and feeling sudden cold spots. Now, while the ship's archives confirm the door incident in broad strokes, many of the details, the wrench asking apparition and the exact date and age, the automatic door mechanism triggering today lie in the realm of legend rather than verified fact.
And in stateroom B340 aboard the Queen Mary, a number of guests and paranormal investigators report strange phenomena. Faucets turning on by themselves, knocking on walls or doors, sheets being pulled off beds, and motion sensors that allegedly triggered without visible cause. While the ship's own materials promote the room's haunted legend, specific claims such as the identity of the figure, what exactly triggered the sensors, or a formal death record tied to the room remain unconfirmed in official archives.
And around the ship's now drained pool rooms, guides and guests often report child laughter, splashes, and even wet footprints. Many tours mention a little girl named Jackie who plays hide and seek, though a specific historical record for her has never been verified. But it's still creepy nonetheless. So next we head to Pennsylvania, Kate.
We are headed to Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So imagine long stone corridors and iron doors that once sealed inmates in complete silence. This was built in 1829. Eastern State was designed for solitary reflection, but it turned into something far darker.
Scary. So
Yeah.
today, visitors report echoing footsteps that stop just behind them, whispers that fade mid sentence, and even the clink of keys down the empty halls. Some feel a cold hand even brush their arm.
The museum keeps its history factual, but the atmosphere speaks for itself. Even skeptics say the energy there feels heavy, like the walls remember. Should we hop over to The Shining?
Oh, yes, let's. Let's go to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. Now, of course, this one is iconic. The Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, opened in 1909 as a high-end mountain resort. It's elegant, scenic, and historic. And by night, its long hallways and huge lobby take on a very different character. It's famously tied, of course, to Stephen King's inspiration for The Shining. Such a good movie.
In room 217 at the Stanley Hotel, a historic 1911 explosion involving a gas lighting system and injuring a chambermaid, commonly named Elizabeth Wilson, is well documented. Since then, countless guests, tour guides, and paranormal fans claim strange occurrences in that room. Lights that flick on and off by themselves, luggage found unpacked or moved, doors that close quietly behind you, and while none of these incidents are formally verified, they form the core of the room's haunted reputation.
Right. And one of the most talked about images from the Stanley Hotel is a photo taken in 2016 of the main lobby stairwell. The guests later noticed what looked like a figure standing mid-stair, and the investigators suggest it may simply show a moving guest rather than anything paranormal, but still, the image helped cement the hotel's haunted reputation.
And history confirms the explosion. The rest, let's just say the Stanley doesn't need fiction to feel haunted. Off to another sprawling haunt.
Of course.
So we are headed to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. So this is a sprawling 5-story hospital built in 1926 to treat tuberculosis patients, and one where thousands are believed to have taken their final breath. Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky became ground zero for the so-called White Plague before closing its doors in the 1960s.
The infamous body shoot. Oh, Lord. This one sounds scary, Kate. Really
Trigger
scary.
warning.
Yeah, for sure. So, this was a 500-foot slope tunnel leading from the main hospital down to the basement of Waverly Hills. Originally used to transport supplies and workers, it wasn't originally solely used for corpses. So later it was obviously used to discreetly remove the dead, and it still unnerves visitors today, of course. Many say they've heard the squeak of wheels echoing in the dark, footsteps in deserted corridors, even faint voices calling their names. Whether it's memory, air pressure, or something else entirely, Waverly Hills remains one of America's most haunted places.
The Waverly Hills building has long concrete corridors and tile surfaces that naturally create long, eerie reverberations. Visitors and investigators routinely describe sounds carrying and distorting, making footsteps or whispers seem to come from different directions.
Ooh, I mean, that's the scary thing when you've got like these long hallways and corridors and things echo. Can you imagine? That would be a creepy place for
It
sure.
would.
A- Anything called sanatorium, I think.
Yeah. I
That's
can
a
like hear that echo too. Like when I think about it, like that would be really scary. Like I can hear it. It's like a school almost. That the way it echoes, like old school.
Yeah, yeah, so creepy. The sanatorium was designed for maximum ventilation. Huge windows, open breezeways, and cross drafts for the tuberculosis patients, which makes sense. And those same architectural features cause unpredictable movements of air, which may possibly explain what visitors often interpret as touches or cold spots. So, whether it's ghost or grief imprinted in the walls, no one leaves Waverly Hills untouched. And speaking of touched, let's travel next to West Virginia and visit the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Built in the mid 1800s to house a few hundred patients, but by the 1950s, more than 2,000 people crowded its echoing halls. Order dissolved into chaos, and the asylum's promise of healing turned into something far darker.
Paranormal investigators swear they've heard whispers drifting through the abandoned wards, doors creaking open on their own, and footsteps that come racing down the hall only to stop just before they reach you.
During flashlight sessions, investigators say knocks sometimes answer their questions, like a reply from the dark that feels just a little too timely to ignore.
And history proves the suffering, but the voices, they might just be the echoes of minds that never found peace. And speaking of peace, I mean pieces, let's visit the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts. Lizzie Borden took an axe. We've all heard the rhyme. And Marie, have you seen the Lizzie Borden show on Netflix starring Christina
No.
Ricci?
Oh, I haven't. I mean, I know what it is, but is it good?
It is good. I have not finished it yet, but we really loved it. In 1892, her father and stepmother were murdered there in this house, and Lizzie was acquitted.
I know this is kind of a very interesting story. So, the house is the site of the August 4th, 1892 axe murders of Andrew Borden and Abby Borden. Kate, can you imagine this house is still around from 1892? Like
And
just
something so terrible that happened there. I mean,
yeah.
it would
So,
be fascinating to see.
yeah, it would. That would be definitely on the bucket list of paranormal places to visit, all these places. So, in August 4th, that morning, Abby was attacked first. On the second floor guest room, she was struck 19 times in the head and neck with a hatchet like weapon. A short time later, Andrew was killed while napping on the downstairs sofa, receiving 11 blows to the face so violent that one eye was split in two. No one else was in the house except Lizzie at 32 years old at that point, and Bridget Sullivan, the family maid. Police found no signs of forced entry, and Lizzie gave conflicting statements about her whereabouts and behavior before and after the murders. Evidence included a hatchet with a broken handle found in the basement, though it couldn't be conclusively tied to the killings. Lizzie was arrested on August 11th, 1892, and she was charged with both murders.
The trial began in June of 1893 in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Prosecutors emphasized her possible motive: tension over family money and her father's will. Defense lawyers argued that there was no direct evidence linking her to the crime, no blood on her clothing, and no eyewitnesses. After a 2 week trial, Lizzie was acquitted on June 20th, 1893.
Wow. I mean, she got away with murder.
I think so too, but I mean, not having any blood on your clothes, unless, she had to have been smart. If she did that and got away with it, she's obviously a very intelligent woman.
Right. And look at Dexter. Like you put an apron on or you put something over and then you get rid of that. So of course there's not on your clothes. There are ways to do that. But still, I mean, and have you ever seen the picture? I've seen pictures of it of crime scene photos, I guess, from the time of her, her stepmom's body was found face down, looked like by the guest bed, and her dad was just still laying on the couch, like his head split in two.
I did see those.
Yeah.
They're pretty
Love
graphic.
it. Yeah, and that's a pretty grisly murder. So after that, Lizzie remained in Fall River. She moved to a new home and lived quietly until her death in 1927. Public opinion never cleared her name, but the rhyme, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks, became part of American folklore. Though exaggerated, the counts were 19 and 11, not 40 and 41.
The Lizzie Borden House now serves as a museum and Airbnb. It draws visitors from around the world, many hoping to feel the residual energy there. While the house has hosted some celebrity visitors, the most reliable story is its unshakable reputation for unexplained sounds, moving objects, and that restless sense of something unseen. And guests say they hear footsteps pacing the upstairs hallway, objects shifting, or even faint laughter in the guest rooms. Some feel a sudden chill at the exact spot where her father's body was found. Ooh, I'm like sweating reading this, and I get chills. So let's just go to California, Marie. Let's go to sunny California.
Let's let's head to warm, sunny California. Let's go to the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. Sarah Winchester spent nearly 4 decades expanding her San Jose mansion. Stairways that lead nowhere, doors that open into walls, rooms stacked on rooms. Legends say she built it to confuse the restless spirits of those killed by her family's rifles, the Winchester rifles. And Kate, I've been there twice. And honestly, even walking through and trying to detect anything, I just felt peaceful walking through those halls. Not haunted, just quiet and sad. Like the house finally found its rest. It felt peaceful, actually. Isn't it interesting?
It kind of makes sense. I've seen the Ghost Adventures episodes, and I agree with you. I don't get bad vibes from that house either. I feel like there was a
Yeah,
lot of love that went into that home because she lived there and she kept building onto it, and it was more of a take. She took care of it. There's I don't feel
right.
any negativity.
Yeah. So, a little bit about Sarah Winchester. She lived from 1839 to 1922. She was the widow of William Wirt Winchester. He was heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. After her husband's and infant daughter's death, she moved to California and bought an unfinished farmhouse in what is now San Jose in 1884. She spent roughly 38 years adding to the house staircases that ended in ceilings, doors that open into walls or drops, irregular floor plans, and windows facing interior rooms. And I mean, it is so interesting, Kate. One day you'll have to visit it. It's just interesting. Like stairs literally that lead up to the ceiling, and then like stairs that are very short but very wide. It's just very interesting.
Can you imagine being the contractor and she'll be like, "Yeah, will you just put a staircase right there or a window?" Like, like who
Yeah,
did
right.
that?
And he's like, oh, well, you're rich and you're paying me,
Whatever
so
you
sure.
want. And the home today has 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, and is a designated California historical landmark and National Register of Historic Places site. Staff and guests report footsteps pacing above them when no one's there, and the shadow of a man pushing a wheelbarrow through the basement, a spirit nicknamed the Carpenter.
The carpenter. The idea that Sarah built the house to confuse or appease spirits killed by Winchester rifles comes actually from posthumous folklore, not any documented statement actually by her. So, this interpretation originated after her death in 1922 when local reporters and spiritualist era storytellers embellished her eccentric building habits. Contemporary letters and tax records actually suggest that she built constantly because she was wealthy, grieving, and interested in architecture, not because of unverified spiritual instructions.
Which makes complete sense as to why you didn't feel anything negative there. If it was a hobby, that would
Right.
be what she loved. So that makes sense. So, however, the appeasing spirits legend is so culturally entrenched that tour guides and media consistently frame it that way. So it's fair to mention it as legend.
Yeah, and there were reports that she would do séances and stuff there. There's even a séance room. I think it's blue or something if I remember correctly. She did do séances there to try to contact her deceased husband and infant child that passed. So, she was a grieving widow, this poor lady.
Yeah, that is sad. I would like to learn more about her. She seems very interesting. I'd love to hear her perspective on that.
Mhm.
Are you ready to move over to St. Augustine, Florida, Marie?
I think we should visit the St. Augustine Lighthouse. What do you think?
Perfect.
The current St. Augustine Lighthouse was completed in 1874, replacing an earlier colonial era tower that had eroded away. So they hired a superintendent of lighthouse construction, Hezekiah Pittee, moved from Cape Elizabeth, Maine, with his family to oversee the construction of the new St. Augustine Lighthouse.
On July 10th, 1873, the three Pittee sisters, Mary was 15, Eliza 13, and Carrie 4, along with an unknown African American girl, she was 10, whose father may have worked on the site, were riding in supply transportation cart as they normally did down the long tracks to the water. The wooden board that normally stopped the cart from going into the water was not in place. So the cart carrying the girls flipped into the water, trapping the girls underneath. And Mr. Dan Sessions, a young African American worker, witnessed the tragic event and raced to the water. When he reached the cart, using all of his strength, he lifted it from atop the girls. By this time, 3 of the 4 girls had drowned. The only survivor was the youngest one, Carrie. That is so sad.
Well, what a tragedy. That is just such a tragedy. I wonder, so, they would, I guess maybe ships or something brought supplies and they would bring supplies up and down, via the tracks. But I wonder why on that particular day the board wasn't there.
Right. I
That's
agree.
interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. I didn't see that when I was researching, why that wasn't there. But either way, a tragedy losing 3 young souls. These facts are actually documented by the St. Augustine Lighthouse and Maritime Museum, which keeps these historical records and death certificates for the family. And since then, visitors hear children's laughter echoing up the spiral stairs, and they also see shadowy figures darting between the landings.
The Dark of the Moon tours embrace the legends, part history, part haunting. You can book tours for $20 to $30, or you can do an investigation for $50.
Right. I looked that up and it's like a 3 hour, they let you go in with your ghost hunting equipment and, for $50 and go investigate. I'm sure this money goes towards the, organization that helps to keep the lighthouse, preserved, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And if you climb to the top, you might just feel a small hand brush yours. Or maybe it's just the sea breeze. Who knows? Let's head over to the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arizona, a grand Victorian resort turned horror show. In the 1930s, a con man named Norman Baker bought the Crescent Hotel and turned it into a cancer hospital, quote unquote, claiming to cure patients with secret tonics and radio waves. He had no medical license. He was just a snake oil man with a silver tongue and a radio show. And by the time the law caught up with him, countless desperate people had already come looking for hope.
He was later convicted of fraud, but guests still swear they see a man in a purple suit strolling the halls. Some say it's Norman Baker himself, keeping watch over the empire he built on false hope.
Shame on him. Yes, that's a horrible thing to give people hope with tonic. I wonder how he was using radio waves. Like that probably actually created cancer or something, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, what a horrible man. So in 2019, workers digging behind the crescent made a grisly discovery. Hundreds of glass jars buried in the earth filled with strange colored fluids and preserved tissue from Baker's so-called treatments. Ew, body fluids. Kate, so gross. Can you imagine discovering that? No, it's gross. The ground itself had been keeping his secrets for nearly 90 years. Oh boy, Kate, what about that? That is gross.
Yes.
Ugh, let's move on. Now let's go visit the Villisca Axe Murder House.
The murders occurred overnight between June 9th and 10th, 1912, in the small town of Villisca, Iowa. 8 people were killed: Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and 2 visiting neighbor children, Ina and Lena Stillinger. All were bludgeoned to death with an axe found at the scene. The victims were discovered the next morning by a neighbor, Mary Peckham. The killer or killers were never identified or convicted, despite multiple suspects and trials, including that of Reverend George Kelly. The house is now preserved as a museum and paranormal attraction known as the Villisca Axe Murder House.
Visitors say the house still echoes with what happened there. In the children's rooms, toys roll across the floor on their own, Whispers and giggles drift through the dark. Some guests feel an invisible hand tug the sheets or a weight sit down on the bed beside them. And in 2014, a visitor investigating the hauntings turned a knife on himself in the middle of the night.
It was as if the energy turned on him. The incident occurred on November 7th, 2014, during an overnight paranormal investigation at their house. The participant, a 37-year-old male investigator from Wisconsin, who was visiting with the group. According to the police reports and local news, Des Moines Register Associated Press, the man stabbed himself in the chest shortly after midnight inside the house.
He was airlifted to a nearby hospital and he survived. Law enforcement found no evidence of foul play, and the event was officially classified as a self-inflicted injury. So, whether it was grief, fear, or something darker, the house keeps the story alive. Now, this next place is very, very creepy. It's Bobby Mackey's Music World in Wilder, Kentucky. Known for its brooding reputation as the most haunted nightclub in America, Bobby Mackey's was long rumored to house a so-called portal to hell beneath this dance floor. In late 2024, the century-old building was demolished to make way for a rebuild, but for many believers, the legend says the dark energies simply moved on, not away.
At Bobby Mackey's Music World, ghost hunters still claim the new site feels like a continuation of the old. Some investigators say they felt sudden pushes, heard voices near the basement well, or seen lights flicker when the bar is dead quiet. Others recount bar stools toppled, faucets turning on for no reason, and shadowy figures by the portal to hell. Well, whether you call it hauntings or hype, the legend is strong.
So our friend Joe Punahu investigated there and he said he felt like something affected him. Now this was of course the old Bobby Mackey's, not the new rebuild. And he also felt like it followed him home. He felt like he had to rid himself of something, and we'll have to chat with him again. Yeah, we'll definitely talk to him about that. Those are some seriously scary places. So why don't we do some mindful magic now and help clear ourselves?
That sounds good. So sit for a moment, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Visualize a soft white light flowing down from above your crown, and washing over your body like moonlight.
As you exhale, release any fear or tension you've picked up from any of these stories. Send them into the earth with love.
And you can whisper this affirmation: I walk in the light, I am safe, I am grounded in peace.
Ah, perfect way to close the circle. And remind yourself that not every presence in the dark is there to harm. Sometimes it's just history remembering itself.
Yes. And that is all for tonight's episode.
Remember to cleanse your energy, charge your crystals, and sleep with a little nightlight just in case.
And don't forget to grab your free Dark Half of the Year grimoire. Email us at mindfulmagicchannel@gmail.com. You send us a screenshot. So if you've subscribed to us, take a screenshot of that and send it to our email, and then we will email you a PDF downloadable copy of the Dark Half of the Year grimoire. It's our way of showing our appreciation for your support. So stay
That's
mindfully
right.
magic, and we will see you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you would like to hear Marie and I discuss, please comment below, send us a message, or reach out to us on Instagram. We like to close each episode with a moment of mindfulness. Take a deep breath and think about what you're grateful for today. We're now going to bless everything that you're grateful for and let your higher self and guides know that you are open for even more blessings. We bid you farewell until we meet again. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. We hope your day is filled with love, happiness, undeniable signs, and mindful magic. You can check out Marie's handmade candles, soaps, lotions, and more at kitchenwitchhawaii.com, and you can follow her on Instagram. You can book an angel reading with me, check out my books, and sign up for our angel magic community at katewhitneyofficial.com. And be sure to follow Mindful Magic on YouTube at Mindful Magic Channel. We are also on Facebook and Instagram.